Hi, friend. I'm Melissa, and welcome back to Midlife with Melissa. Wherever you are listening today, I am so glad you are here. So grab your favorite drink, get comfortable, and let's spend a little time together. Before we begin, I want to gently let you know that today's episode includes a conversation about severe emotional distress and very dark thoughts. Please take care of yourself while listening. You can pause this episode, return to it later, or choose not to continue if today is not the right day for this conversation. This episode is based on my personal experience and is not a substitute for medical or mental health care. If you do not feel safe, please seek immediate support. I will share crisis resources at the end of the episode. Friend, today I want to talk about something that sounds simple when we say it out loud. Let one person in. But when you are hurting deeply, that can feel like one of the hardest things in the world to do. There was a time when I was living with so much fear, anxiety, and emotional darkness that I did not know how to explain what was happening inside me. I did not have the right words. I did not fully understand it myself. And because I could not explain it, I often became quiet. I withdrew. I stopped answering calls. I avoided conversations. Sometimes I convinced myself that staying silent was easier than trying to make one other person understand something I could barely understand myself. But silence did not protect me. It isolated me. It gave my fear more room to grow. And it allowed me to believe that I was carrying something no one else could possibly understand. The people who love us may notice that we are tired, quiet, withdrawn, or unlike ourselves. But they cannot automatically know how serious the pain has become. They cannot know what we have not told them. For me, letting someone in did not happen through one perfect conversation. It took emotional breakdowns. It took repeated honesty. It took trying again when I felt misunderstood. And it took finally allowing the seriousness of what I was experiencing to be seen. I am sharing this today because pain becomes even more dangerous when we believe we have to hide it. Sometimes the first step towards surviving is allowing one safe person to know the truth. I had experienced depression and anxiety earlier in my life. I went through it many times. I knew what those feelings were like. I had taken medication for them in the past, and I understood what it felt like to struggle through those seasons. But this felt different. I knew it was different. My circumstances did not explain the depth of despair I was feeling. I was comfortable in my life. I felt safe in my home. And for the first time in a long time, I truly believed I was exactly where I wanted to be. And yet, there I was living with thoughts and feelings I could not understand. My mind began telling me things that did not match what was actually happening around me. I could look at my life and know that I was safe. I could know that I was loved. I could know that there was no immediate crisis taking place. But I could not convince my mind or body that everything was okay. My intuition, something that I had trusted my entire life, felt as though it was suddenly off by miles. I began interpreting things differently. I feared problems that were not actually there. I reacted to situations as though something terrible was happening, even when another part of me knew it was not. That was terrifying. I felt trapped between what I knew was true and what my frightened mind was insisting was true. Because I could see how irrational some of my fears probably looked from the outside, I became even more afraid to tell Jason what was happening. I thought saying the thoughts out loud would confirm what I feared he might already be thinking, that I had completely lost my mind. I worried that he would look at me and believe I was having some kind of nervous breakdown. Honestly, I thought that too. I wondered whether everything I had held inside for years had finally caught up with me and was taking my mind away from me. I blamed myself. I thought I had somehow caused it by keeping too much bottled up for too long. And because I believed I had caused it, I felt ashamed to admit how serious it had become. I began believing that life would never feel enjoyable again. I could not imagine returning to the woman who could laugh freely, make plans, leave the house, or look forward to tomorrow. And in one overwhelming moment of panic, sadness, and confusion, I attempted to take my own life. I am not sharing that to shock anyone. I am sharing it because silence nearly cost me my life. I am a woman who loves God. My faith matters deeply to me. And I thank Him constantly that I am still here today with the opportunity to heal, to keep learning, and perhaps to help another woman feel less alone. Because I believed that everything I had carried for years might finally be catching up with me, I started trying to work backward. I began journaling again. I searched for help online. I revisited emotions from different periods of my life: grief, hurt, disappointment, loss, and experiences I may not have fully processed when they happened. I thought that if I could uncover everything I had pushed aside, I could finally understand why I felt as though I was falling apart. And that work did help me. It helped me tremendously. Journaling gave me a place to tell the truth without worrying about how the words sounded. It helped me recognize patterns. It helped me acknowledge pain I had minimized. It allowed me to sit with emotions I had spent years trying to move past. There were parts of me that truly needed that attention. There were old wounds that needed compassion. And I am grateful that I began doing that work. But as healing as it was, it did not stop the frightening thoughts. It did not explain why my body seemed to remain in a constant state of alarm. It did not take away the panic that appeared without warning. And it did not stop what was beginning to feel like a nervous breakdown. That realization confused me because I had believed that if I worked hard enough on myself, I could solve whatever was happening. I thought maybe I just need to journal more. Maybe I need to uncover one more painful memory. Maybe there is something buried inside me that I have not found yet. And when I continued struggling, I wondered whether I was somehow failing at healing too. Eventually, I began to understand that more than one thing could be true. I could have emotions from my past that deserve to be processed, and I could also be experiencing something new that required a different kind of support. The healing I found through journaling was real. It was not wasted. but it was not the complete explanation for what was happening to me. And it was not the only kind of help I needed. Emotional wounds can matter. Grief can matter. Stress can matter. Our physical health and hormonal changes can matter. And professional support can matter. We do not have to choose one explanation before we deserve care. For me, journaling became one piece of healing. Educating myself became another. Talking honestly with Jason became another. And reaching out for professional healthcare support became another. No single step held the entire answer. But each step helped me understand myself more clearly and brought me closer to the support I needed. Maybe you have been reading, journaling, praying, or searching for answers on your own. Those things can be meaningful and deeply healing, but they do not have to be the only support you allow yourself to receive. You are not failing because self-help has not solved everything. Sometimes the most honest thing we can do is just admit, I have done everything I know how to do myself, and I still need help. That is not giving up. That is opening the door. For me, letting Jason in did not begin with a calm conversation. It began through tears. I cried. I screamed. And I told him, I am scared. I do not know what is happening to me. I cannot control this anymore. I begged him to please help me figure it out. Those were not perfect words. They did not explain every symptom or answer every question, but they were the truth. And at that point, the truth was all I had left to give him. I needed him to understand that I was not simply having a bad day. I was frightened by what was happening inside me, and I no longer felt strong enough to carry it by myself. Somewhere inside me, I knew that once I truly let Jason in, once he believed that something was seriously wrong, he would not give up on me the way I had begun giving up on myself. And I needed that. I needed someone whose strength I could lean on because I did not have enough of my own left at the moment. I was not strong enough to organize all the steps toward help. I did not know which professional to contact, what questions to ask, or how I was supposed to explain everything. I simply knew that I could not keep doing it alone. Once Jason understood the seriousness of what I was experiencing, something changed immediately. The frightening feelings did not disappear all at once, but the weight was no longer mine alone. It felt as though the burden had been divided in half. I had not fully understood how heavy it had become until I finally shared it with someone else. For so long, I had been carrying the fear, the confusion, the shame, and the responsibility of trying to solve everything by myself. Then there was another person standing beside me saying, "We are going to figure this out." And I could breathe again. Telling someone may not immediately change the circumstances. It may not make every feeling disappear or provide an instant answer, but it can change the experience of carrying it. There is a difference between being trapped alone with frightening thoughts and having someone beside you who knows the truth. For me, that difference mattered more than I can explain. Over time, I also began recognizing a pattern in some of the anxiety and fight or flight feelings I was experiencing. They could arrive quickly and intensely, but sometimes they could also begin to loosen just as quickly as they had appeared. Once I started recognizing the pattern, I began gently reminding myself, I am okay. I am in a safe place. This feeling is intense, but it will not necessarily last forever. Today, I have several things I can do when I notice those unwanted feelings approaching. I can pause. I can breathe. I can remind myself of where I am. I can tell Jason what I am feeling instead of trying to hide it. I can rest when my body is asking me to rest. And I can reach for professional support when I need it. Honestly, the most important thing I did was keep trying until Jason knew the full truth. Not only the parts that were easier to explain, the fear, the confusion, the thoughts that frightened me, and the truth that I needed help. Once I stopped trying to protect him from the seriousness of it, he could finally help protect me from carrying it alone. He did not have every answer, and he did not need to. He came beside me. Today, when I cry, he listens. When I am exhausted, he reminds me that I can rest and that everything else can wait. He gives me patience, no pressure, and a steady hand to hold while I continue healing. I love him even more for that. I could not see the entire path ahead of me, but once Jason knew the truth, I no longer had to find that path alone. Friend, perhaps you are listening today and recognizing yourself in parts of my story. Maybe you know something is wrong, but you cannot explain it. Maybe your thoughts feel frightening. Maybe you are exhausted from pretending you are okay. Or perhaps you have tried to speak before, but the person listening did not understand how serious it was. Please do not let the absence of perfect words keep you silent. Begin with the simplest truth you have. You can say, I am not okay. I am scared by what I am feeling. I do not feel safe being alone with my thoughts. I need you to stay with me. I need help finding someone qualified to talk to. Or simply, please listen to me. This is more serious than I know how to explain. You do not have to organize your entire story before asking for help. You do not have to make your pain sound logical before another person should take it seriously. If the person does not understand, please try again. Tell someone else. Reach out to a trusted family member, friend, pastor, healthcare provider, therapist, or a crisis counselor. Keep speaking until someone recognizes the seriousness of what you are telling them. Sometimes the next step may be asking someone to sit beside you while you make a phone call. It may be asking them to help schedule an appointment. It may be handing them your phone because you do not feel able to make the call yourself. Or it may be saying, I need you to stay with me because I do not trust myself to be alone right now. If you believe you may hurt yourself or cannot remain safe, treat that as an emergency and ask someone to stay with you while you contact immediate professional or crisis support. If someone comes to you and says they are frightened by their own thoughts, please listen. You do not need to understand exactly why they feel the way that they do before you believe them. Do not minimize their pain or argue with them about what they should be grateful for. Begin by saying, I believe you. I am glad you told me. You do not have to handle this alone. I am staying with you while we find help. Listen without judgment. Take the words seriously. Help them connect with qualified support. And when immediate safety is a concern, do not leave them alone to figure everything out by themselves. Love does not always know the answer, but love can stay present while the next safe step is taken. The person you tell does not have to become your doctor, therapist, or entire support system. They can simply help you stop carrying the truth alone. Sometimes letting one person in sounds like a carefully planned conversation. And sometimes it sounds like crying through the only words you can find. I am scared. Please help me. Both count. Both are brave. And both can become the beginning of a different ending. Friend, this has not been an easy story for me to share. There was a time when I did not believe I would ever enjoy my life again. I could not imagine feeling safe inside my own mind. I could not see beyond the fear, the confusion, or the despair I was carrying. But today I am here. I am still healing. I am still learning. I still have difficult days. There are days when my energy is low. There are moments when emotions arrive unexpectedly. And there are still times when I need to stop, breathe, rest, or tell someone what I am feeling. But I no longer believe that I have to hide those moments. I no longer believe that struggling means I have failed. And I no longer believe that I must find every answer by myself before I deserve support. For me, hope began when I finally allowed the truth to be seen. It began when I stopped trying to make my pain look understandable. It began when I said, I am scared. I do not know what is happening. Please help me. Those words opened a door. And once that door opened, I was no longer carrying everything alone. I am thankful to God that I am still here. My faith does not mean that I have never struggled. It does not mean that I always understood what was happening. And it does not mean that I never reached a place of complete despair. But today, my faith reminds me that the darkest moment of my story did not get the final word. I am still here. I still have a purpose. And I now have the opportunity to use the parts of my story that once brought me shame to help another woman feel less alone. That is why I am sharing this. Not because I have everything figured out. Not because my journey is complete. and not because I believe my experience will look exactly like anyone else's. I am sharing it because I know what silence can do. Silence can convince us that no one will understand. It can convince us that we are a burden. It can make us believe that our pain is too confusing or frightening to say out loud. But the way you feel in one unbearable moment is not proof that your life will always feel that way. You are allowed to need help. You are allowed to borrow someone else's hope when you cannot feel your own. And you are allowed to believe that this moment is not the end of your story. If you are listening today and believe you may hurt yourself, or you do not feel safe being alone, please pause this episode and seek immediate help. In the United States, call or text 988 to reach the 988 Suicide and Crisis Lifeline, or use the chat at 988lifeline.org. If you are in immediate danger, contact emergency services where you live. Please let someone know where you are and allow them to stay with you while you take the next safe step. Today, I can see hope in places where I once could not see anything beyond the darkness. That hope did not arrive all at once. It came through honest conversations, education, journaling, healthcare support, faith, and allowing the people who love me to see what I had been trying so hard to hide. So, friend, wherever you are today, remember this. You are not required to find your way back alone. Tell one person. Let the truth be heard. Allow someone to stand beside you and keep choosing the next safe step. Until next time, take a deep breath. Be gentle with yourself. Hold on to hope. And remember, I've been saving you a seat.